whole program is really about you. I could call it how to get your ex back by getting you back. That'd be maybe more accurate. But it's like,
Well,
people are so oftentimes so just focused like this. I have to get them to realize ultimately that's not really what you want. You want to just feel great. You want people, your
no,
life to be a bonus, an option, not where you're reliant on them until they come back or don't, whatever. So that's
no,
the truth. And when you and I spoke, I'm sure I explained it to you really well. The whole program is really about you. It's not
yep.
about, some other external individual.
No, and the thing for me too is like, you know, regardless of what happens in the future, and I'm one of those like anything is possible. I mean, I think at this point it would really take a miracle for for my ex-husband and I to reunite, and I'm not going to say that that's out of the question, you know what I'm saying? All I know is that, if we were ever to get back together,
Mhm.
it can't be with the version of me that I was, otherwise that recreates what has currently happened.
Everyone, are
So
you
it's this
listening to
concept of like, huh?
this? I'm saying, like, anyone listening to this call, are you listening to this? This is
Yeah,
exactly
no,
where
it's
you're
like
at.
you gotta, like
How can you
reinvent
create,
yourself.
if you
And
want, things don't change unless you change. So you changed yourself first. You realize you
right.
have to change you
And
first.
it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna change myself so he comes back. It was more like, I'm gonna change myself because I deserve that. I
Yeah.
deserve to really be my true self and to know what I'm worth and to really kind of step into my power and know that I'm capable of creating something so different than the situation that I'm in,
Mhm.
whether it's with him or with someone else. And then even beyond that, like I don't even need to be with someone else to feel that amazing every day. I
Yeah.
can just feel amazing from the inside out and have that be self-generated. And in that process, like that's what helps all of my goals and dreams in life come true. I don't need to be with someone else to create that. And I don't need someone else to make me feel loved or accepted or wanted or worthy of all the amazing things in life. I can do that for myself. And that really was this process for me. And I knew that coming into this. That's why I wasn't signing up for this, because I was like, oh, I want to get my ex back. I was signing up for this going like, all
Right.
right, I think this guy's got a little bit of special sauce that's going to really take it to the next level for me of knowing, okay, I know I'm worthy of all this stuff, but I'm not feeling it yet. And I really wanted to take that journey from my head to my heart and really feel it so that I could wake up every morning like, just like, like I feel amazing today. And that's really what this program helped me do. It kind of took me from that, like, all right, I know things are going to go well today. And, just kind of like trying to, it was like I had to wake up every morning and like remind myself that my day was going to be amazing. But after
Oh, yeah.
coming through this program, I wake up and immediately I'm like, today's going to be amazing. And it's just like, it's a default,
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. So Abriel, for a lot of people, right? They don't know me, and there's a lot of quote coaches out there, right? I always tell people this. It's like, Dave, before you hire a coach, there are three questions you need to ask them. Here are the three questions. If any of these don't get, like, if they don't just knock out of the ballpark with any of these three, that's a very bad sign. Question
Okay.
one, who trained you? If it's YouTube, that's not good. Don't hire that person, right?
Yep.
Two, the second question is, how many people have you done this for? Have you done this for like just your friends? Or have you done this for like hundreds, if not thousands of people? And are they paying customers? I mean, did that person have skin in the game? There's a whole different world between a stranger saying, wow, that was awesome. So glad I worked with you. Yeah, I paid you money. I didn't know you. Versus, hey, my friend coached me, right?
Right.
It's not the same thing. But when you work with somebody, you should want to work with somebody who's actually worked with a ton of paying clients, people that didn't know them, and just bottom line got the outcome. So
Yep.
and then the third question I always tell people, ask people too, is how long? How quickly can you deliver this outcome? If the person can't, put their own skin in the game, are like, hey, 6 weeks, one and done. You got this. If they can't do that, that's a very big problem. That's one of the biggest problems with counselors and therapists. Most of them.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them. There are some out there obviously have some other unique tools in there. I'll use your word here, their wheelhouse, right? But
Yeah.
most of them are just using such archaic stuff, and they would never, never, ever, ever, ever hold themselves to a specific timeline to get you an outcome. They're just not going to do it. So if the person can't do that, that's a very bad sign. So here's my point. For the people there who don't know me, and I have to do this here because, it is an investment for sure. So, my question is you didn't know me here. What was your experience working with me as far as my professionalism, knowledge, care, dedication, your outcome? How much did I show up for you? As someone who is essentially a stranger to you, did I, how much did I rise to the occasion as far as what I was going to give you. Again, professionalism, those kind of things. And bottom line, tools and quality, all that stuff.
I mean, it was like having a personal concierge walk through the process. I mean, I would text you a question, and you would always get back to me, usually like in less than 6 hours. And like, it was definitely a little rocky for me trying to keep up with this program and kind of go through this really fast paced, kind of shocking process I was going through with my husband, who then became my ex-husband. And like I said, I've got 4 little kids. So there was a lot of moving pieces for me. And, there were a couple times I know I texted you and was just like, I'm not even sure what to do right now. And you were like, get up and do a boost, get up and do a boost. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'll do that, And that was definitely really helpful. So, I mean, I feel like I said, I feel like every step of the way through this process for me, it's like when I needed someone new to show up and kind of walk me through a new part of the journey, they did. And you were a part of that, for the time being that you were there. And it was very evident to me you were very divinely placed for that, which was incredible. So, I mean, I would say 5 stars across the board for all the things you just asked for. Because it was very helpful. You were very responsive. You were very passionate about what you're doing, and that energy just, flows out of you, so that for me working with you, it was real nice at times for me to just kind of latch onto that for the few times that, I was having a hard time generating it myself. And then aside from that, just know there was like a collective consciousness effect going on. We're like, all right, you've got that level of energy. I'm generating it myself too. And then just kind of, feeding off of that, which was great.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, when you and I started, just like any professional business, I have to have like a working agreement, right? You sign, you have a working agreement, welcome to Refocus on Happiness, 6 weeks. And I lay out the deliverables. So I say, hey, this is what you get, lessons, time of me, blah, 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 but people don't know. I go quite a bit beyond that, but I have to manage expectations. I have to say, here's what you can expect, but I do go beyond what, I put in there. But, you have to have that. Otherwise, people's expectations aren't managed properly, and then blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, I take a lot of pride in it, and I want people to know, like I say this, but I really mean it. If you're in 100%, I'm in 1,000%. I will do whatever it takes to get there with you. And, there are a few times you and I jumped on calls that were not part of the formal coaching time. You're like, I think one time on a Friday night or something, early evening, you were having some challenges, and, we got on a call, it's like, well, let's talk through it a little bit here, but I think it's good for people to understand, like, I'm very passionate about what I do. I know how to get you to where you want to go. Yeah. Some people have to work a little harder with, but I'm willing to do it. Bottom line is I'm on the hook. I tell you 6 weeks, I really mean it. So yeah, I want people to know that. And I think it's important to hear it from someone other than myself. And of course, the more people would say it, they start to realize, okay, this is clearly not, BS. So, okay. Awesome.
No, not at all. I mean, I would say it's definitely transformative, if that's what someone's going for and that's what they're hoping to have happen. It's very quickly transformative because there is a super level of consistency, and it's very clear expectations, and it's not hard to do. I mean, so long as you're physically able, it's not a hard thing to do. It's just a matter of really disciplining yourself to do it, and then following through and staying consistent. So
how long was it? How long did it take before you started to see results? I always tell people, remember, we're working a different type of muscle here, and if you haven't been working this muscle for, several years, the first 2 weeks is pretty hard. It's like a rocket ship, right? The most fuel, energy is in the takeoff. So how long did it take before you started to see and feel like, hey, clearly something's happening here? How long did that take for you?
Really, for me, I think it was only about a week. And so for me, because I came into this kind of having been chipping away at it for a while anyway, I think that this gave me the platform to kind of start to take off on. So it really only took me about a week to start to realize, like, I'm starting to feel things, function a little different for me. Yeah. But there was this slingshot effect for me because of the stuff that happened in the middle of the program. So I felt like I started to take off, but then it was like I got placed in the slingshot and got pulled back a little.
Right.
and then sent out again. So there was definitely a little bit of pullback effect for me. And I think that, I love the slingshot analogy because that's really the way I felt it worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely did feel like kind of in the middle, like, why do I feel like I'm being pulled back? Why do I feel like I'm regressing a bit? Why, and great, like there was a lot going on for me and there was a
Sure.
whole lot of emotional stuff for me to be processing. But then I feel like I came out of that scenario like eons ahead of where I would have otherwise been, in my life. And so I don't feel like I lost any ground. And, so for that reason, it was almost like I got going and I got to a certain place and then I was like, this is starting to feel amazing. And I was like, wait a minute, life is feeling terrible. And then within a few more weeks, it was like, life is like beyond amazing now. So, I would say that was the process for me, but I also think that was unique to me.
Sure.
One, because of where I started coming into the program, and then two, because of what I had going on while I was in the program.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You had your situation is a little different in some ways because you actually went through the divorce like while
Yeah.
you're working me. So and it actually became official, kind of like around like week 4 or so. So you had some big stressors in there. And what I
Yep.
think is really important, and I know you and I talked about this before, it's like no one said this is going to be easy. And,
No.
and no one ever said that there's not going to be challenges, not just now, but in the future. But the thing to celebrate, and I'm sure you can appreciate this here, is as challenging as it was, I'm sure you can appreciate how much worse it would have been if you'd not been doing this.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, like the fact that God was
I'm
like,
not saying it was
hey,
easy, but it's a hell of a lot easier than what it would have been.
yeah. No, the fact that God that night was like, hey, jump on Facebook, watch this video, and then you're going to sign up with this guy. It was just like,
Right.
initially
Yeah.
I was like, why? But then as I went through, I was going through the program and everything was transpiring. It was like, there were so many times I was like, like, thanks God. Like you totally guided me through this and that's amazing. And, it's, yeah, it was definitely just like a meant to be situation. And I feel like that's probably the case for anybody who comes through this program. And I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't even know that my ex-husband wants to know me or talk to me at this point, which I'm still not completely sure why. Maybe he could explain that at some point. But anyway, given the opportunity, I would actually like give him a hug and thank him because without him doing what he's done, and like, I obviously like it takes two people. So like
Right.
without me contributing to it, without him, doing the behavior he's done and then making the decisions he's made, which, I've always just done my best to accept because, I do believe everything happens for a reason. So I don't like to see things as like, oh, this is bad. I actually feel like not only am I thankful that all this happened, it was kind of one of those, like, I realized that the world could look at it like, oh, that's a terrible thing. And to me, I'm like, it's like one of the greatest gifts life has ever given me. Because without all of this, it wouldn't have propelled me into, rewiring my brain and having this like complete biological upgrade of who I am and really placing me in a mental, spiritual position to really, excel in what I want to do in life. So, I guess if there's anyone watching this who's wondering, is this ever going to turn around for me? Is life ever going to feel better? One, I would say definitely look into the program because it really does help take you from kind of like ground zero back to like building something amazing for yourself. But it also really helps you gain a different perspective about what's going on in your life. And, for me, I just, I feel amazing despite the, and I have so many people, they're like, how are you okay with all of this? And how is everything okay? I mean, like literally like 7 months ago, my husband and I were together and like, so what, it's April, like last July, we were celebrating our 10-year anniversary and I was being told I love you forever, and then it was like all of a sudden this rapid decline of the marriage. And then, so yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of people would still be like, trying to pull themselves out of bed every morning and wondering what just happened. And me, I'm like, what do you mean what just happened? What just happened was the most amazing thing ever in my life because now I have all these skills and tools and the capability to really, look at adversity and say, what's up? I'm going to make something amazing of this. And that's what I'm doing, So.
As Tony Robbins says, life will never be the same. You can't unlearn what you've learned. You now know the truth. You're able to, you have a wiring and conditioning that is literally ingrained in your brain, and you can't go backwards. You can't unsee what you've seen, and you already know it's possible for yourself. So you just can't, by definition, go backwards. And what's interesting too, and I'm sure, I mean, I don't remember for sure, but I'm sure you and I talked about this because I talk about this with everyone. I'm like, what if that person that, you know, is bringing your pain in the current time, what if they are the ultimate catalyst, the angel in your life that you ultimately needed to get you to do something that's been a long time coming? What if in 6 weeks you felt nothing but gratitude for them? Even if that sounds nuts to you, even if that sounds fucking crazy, I promise you, you are not far away from saying, wow, you know what? I'm so thankful for them. They got me to do something that has been a long time coming. And I'm so appreciative they got me to do something that's going to last the rest of my life. It's a true investment, because now for the rest of your life, you will never deal with what you dealt with. You will always be the person who is in charge of the way you feel, the way you show up. And you could never be an emotional prisoner to anybody or anything. You have that process. And so therefore, how can you not feel anything but gratitude for somebody who finally got you to do something? It's been a long time coming. And I have that all the time. It's like, you know, I'll get a client who, like, you know, I lost my job. This person embarrassed me and blah, blah, blah. And then all these things collapsed down on me one time and my life sucks. I go, well, maybe this is exactly what you needed to finally fucking fix this. So let's fix it. Let's get it situated. And then 6 weeks later, like, you're right. I'm so glad I did this. And that's why one of the first things I show before we start the program, I always show the Steve Jobs, you know, commencement speech. It's like, Steve Jobs is a pretty smart dude. He'd even tell you, you know, you can only connect the dots going backwards. What if this is exactly what you needed to finally honor yourself? And truly, I always tell people this too. The only way to love yourself is to invest in yourself. Everything else is a bunch of nonsense. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to show myself self-care. Big deal. That takes good courage. Why don't you, like, put your money where your mouth is? So these people get you to do that. And then when you finally do something, like I just had this guy that, you know, graduated with me, and he told me, he goes, my entire life, I never invested in myself. I always took care of everyone else. This is the first time I'm going to take care of me. And he appreciates it. He's like, you know what? This finally got me to do something for myself. And this has been a long time coming. So everyone they're done, they start to, at the very least towards the end, get glimpses of gratitude and say, you know what? This actually benefited me, and thank you. And to your point, you said earlier, you're a little bit more advanced than most people in a lot of areas. You know, you were, you know, in some ways you were easier. You had a good foundation to begin with. So I want to throw this out there for a lot of people out there. You know, your results are fantastic. I've worked with people a lot darker place than you, for sure. And so a lot of people, it takes them about 2 weeks to 3 before they start to say, you know, I can't ignore this. This is clearly moving in the right direction. So you're a little quicker. I mean, like, I think even the first few days, you know, and granted, I do certain things that help right out of the gate. That's true. But I just want to manage people's expectations too. For most people listening here, this ain't no magic trick. It's a real workout. It's a real process. It's hard work. You probably didn't even realize how much work I was going to give to you. But most people start to feel and know unquestionably that something is happening internally between week 2 and 3. Sometimes, if the person's in a really dark place, might take till like between weeks 3 and 4. But by the time week 3 comes, they're on their way. So you were a little quicker than most.
So I often have seen my ex-husband as kind of like, it's almost like when something would happen that shocked me, or that I was like, what? Like, you know, because to me it was always like, who are you? Like, this is not the person I knew. Yeah. I often was like, oh, that's right. Like, it's God working through you right now to teach me a lesson. All right, what's the lesson? You know, what is it I'm supposed to be learning right now? And the lessons that I have learned through this process, and been able to really have the patience for myself and the compassion for myself, and really kind of like the inner strength to pull through and learn the lesson. You know, a lot of that ability to do that, I feel like, came from me doing this program with you. You know, I didn't stay stuck in an emotion. I would get angry, but I wouldn't stay there. I'd feel sad, but I wouldn't stay there. It's like I now had this tool to redirect however I was feeling. And so it's almost like beyond the whole X thing. Anybody looking into this, it's, you know, if you're someone who tends to be triggered by things, or you've got stuff that's happened in your past that triggers different fears or anxieties or whatnot in your current, you know, living situation, what this program does is it essentially, you know, it dissolves those triggers for you, because you're no longer looking to your outside world to take care of you. You're learning how to take care of yourself emotionally without needing anybody else to do anything to make you feel good every day.
So like after we're done here, I'm speaking to somebody who hopefully I'll start working with. I've spoken to him a couple times now.
Yeah.
And again, I let people move at their own pace. I'm not in a rush here. But it's funny. Like I spoke to him, and he was like telling me about like some of these other coaches he's worked with. Trying to get his ex back, and he like did this one course, learning how to like text, do these like text techniques and stuff like that. And I told him like, dude, I go, it's just such a, it kind of irks me because it's like a lot of people are so. I'd say 90% of people out there, at least, I don't know where I got that stat from. I'm making it up. That's true. But I'd say a massive amount of people are so focused on the external stuff. Like they'll hire these coaches to help them do text game, or they'll hire coaches to do very external communication stuff. I'm like, dude, a wise man once said, you can't be strong on the outside if you're not strong on the inside. So what if you, quote, trick her to meeting up with you? You're eventually got to be face to face. And when you're face to face, you start to crumble and you're all sad and angry or defensive and you can't control yourself, does you no fucking good. You waste your time. You got to focus. Everything else is a bunch of Band-Aids. You got to you have to get that emotional resiliency, that conditioning process. When you're strong on the inside, everything else benefits. That is the true foundation for great communication people. But everyone else is going for like these Band-Aids. And it's funny to me, but at the same time, it's irritating too. It's like, dude, don't you see the fallacy in what you're doing? You're trying to get a Band-Aid to help you out. You're missing the core. And so, you're developing that inner strength. And when you have that inner strength, that is what facilitates. That's a catalyst for great communication, because it's much easier to talk as your highest version when you just have a very coherent message going on internally, Mm-hmm. So it's like we focused on the core. How do you feel now that you've completed the course? Now that it's over with, I think you've touched on it to some degree, but how do you feel now that you've completed it? Do you feel like what I promised you from the beginning? Do you feel like you can grow this for the long term? You can be your own one-stop practical psychologist, your own relationship coach. Do you feel like what I told you would get, this being your one-stop shop? Now, granted, you can always, and I would encourage this, if you want to do another program for fun, because it's enjoyable, I would always encourage that. But it's not from the same place of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm in such a dark place. It's just that you do because it's fun to do, and it's taking your life to new levels. So as far as when I told you, you'd have a practice to give you that rock solid foundation you can use for the rest of your life, so you're always in control. Do you believe you have that now?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I totally can see myself applying this as, I launch my company and really work to create something big with, I have a big vision with what I want to do with my business. And I'm realizing, okay, in order for me to do that, I have to have tools like these so that I can walk into boardrooms and I can handle really stressful situations and I can make big decisions that, it's kind of like, again, like Tony Robbins says, like I can bring the certainty into uncertainty because I have that self-confidence and that self-knowing and that ability to be aware of what I'm capable of. Those tools are absolutely invaluable. And, I feel like, part of this journey, and I feel like for anybody who kind of goes through like a transformational journey, you realize like that true self was always there. Mm-hmm. It just got buried under all this, social conditioning and traumatic experiences and whatnot. So it wasn't so much about like, me finding myself or me developing all these tools that were completely non-existent to me. I think it was about me reconnecting with all of that. And this program just offered me that ability to really reconnect.
You might have came here for a specific, the relationship area, but this is going to be a tool you're going to be able to use to really just be your at your highest level, love, health, and wealth, like across the board. It's a tool, a true investment that will allow you to really take your business and stuff, your business ideas, and take that to the next level. I have people who work with me just for that alone. It's really, truly, I hesitate to say the word motivational tool because motivation is like a lot of rah, rah, rah. It's a strategy. It's a strategy so you can create motivation on cue. That's really what it is. It's a strategy. You don't have to rely on anything. You can create your certainty or your state and deal with anything that comes your way and get out of whatever emotional Groundhog Day, whatever. You're just creating that consistency for yourself. But like I said, it'd be a tool that you can use for everything. not just relationships, business. So it ultimately turns out to be an incredible investment, even just for that. You could look back and you'll be able to look back at some point in the very near future and say, you know what? I got my money back 100-fold just for the way I'm using even my business, the way I'm showing up, the more stuff I'm getting done. So, and I think it's really important for people to understand. It's a tool to help you deal with life challenges in a very efficient way, very quickly, no matter what comes your way. And not to ignore them, but to have a conditioning where it's like if your muscles got sore, they get unsore very quickly and you're fucking rock and roll. But it's for everything. It's not just relationships. So even if people come to me specifically because they're having issues there, it's like, hey, let me expand your mind here. This is from a biological perspective. It doesn't matter what the source is. If you're having a hard time, this will unstuck you.
Yep. It was more about like, okay, this is all happening. I know it's happening for me. Like how, like, you know, me coming to you going like, so what can you offer me that's different than what I've already tried to really propel me into stepping back into my own power and really knowing who I am and really embodying that level of self-worth that's just undeniable, that doesn't waver and doesn't go up and down and doesn't get challenged and crumble, you know, just, and because that's really, you know, at the end of the day, like people, they all want to know that they're worth it. And so many people don't know that you don't need a single person on earth to validate that for you. You get to do that yourself. And for me, you know, I knew that. It was just figuring out how do I feel that so that it's not unwavering and no one else can convince me otherwise. You know, no one else can insult me or leave me or reject me or betray me or lie to me or make and take that power away from me. You know, I still at the end of the day maintain that self-worth and power regardless of what anybody else does, because this probably won't be the first adverse situation that I go through in my life.
It definitely won't be. They'll keep coming.
Coming into your program, I was still in that place where it was like I'd get the motivation and then I'd get pulled back, and that was becoming really frustrating for me. And so coming out of your program, I feel like my to-do list is finally getting done. You know, I'm actually able to check things off at the end of every day. I'm becoming a lot more productive, and I'm so much more inspired to do the things I want to do, as opposed to, you know, have the motivation and then feel stuck. I don't feel stuck anymore. I really feel capable of getting done what I want to get done. And that really, I mean, even like 3 weeks ago, I kind of felt like I was still in that place where I was still a little stuck with the, you know, I guess you would call it the inspired action, you know. I knew what I wanted to do. It was just connecting myself to doing it. And so really in the last few weeks, I feel like that piece of it has come into play, which for me was kind of like, you know, the grand finale. I knew that once I got to that place, that meant that I'd really done what I set out to do coming into this program. So that's been great.
So who would you say this program is designed for? Who do you think would benefit?
See, I would say like almost anyone between the ages of like,
that's why it's almost like a funny question.
I guess anyone who's really capable of disciplining themselves. You know, I think you're right. You know, when you first talked to me and you're like, I don't know if you're right for this program. And I think it's because, you know, I can give off this, I can handle anything kind of strength. And, you know, I think even in the call with you initially, you were like, yeah, no, I don't think you're rock bottom enough. So I'm there. Like, what do I need to do to get myself out of the position I'm in right now? Because this sucks. You know, so yeah, I think someone who's at that point in their life where they're saying something's got to give and it's got to come from me, because, you know, life doesn't give you handouts when you're in those situations. I mean, I feel like it'll kind of do little things to keep you going, but at the end of the day, it's asking you, step up, do something, make a decision, commit to something, and that's what's going to change things for you. You know, other people don't change your life, you change your life. And so someone who can hear that and attach to it and kind of feel like a stirring in them that like, all right, yeah, maybe that really resonates with me. I think that those are the people that this program would really be good for. You know, and someone who, again, it's for me, it wasn't about getting my ex back. So I guess that's tough too. I know that it gets marketed that way. Right. But, you know, it's someone who's just really looking for that for that next level of themselves, to really cultivate, if they're kind of feeling like they've hit a plateau in life, or they're feeling stuck and they just want to, be given kind of like a breath of fresh air into their lives, and really do something transformative. That's who I would recommend this program to.
I'm playing around a revision name. It's called
Yes.
How to Get Unstuck in Minutes.
Okay.
Right. But here's the truth. Again, if it's called that, which is true, but the extended version of that will be How to Get Unstuck in Minutes after you've done 6 weeks of conditioning. Once you get the 6 weeks done, now you can get unstuck in minutes. So it's like, yeah, you can absolutely do that, but there is the initial conditioning process to get you there. And it's funny when you and I first spoke, and I have to be very careful with people, because it's like, dude, this is a real deal program. You got to be fully committed. You got to do this every day. You can't just like trying to get a physical, incredible body. If you want to look like a god, goddess, whatever, you got to do the work. You got to show up at the gym. You got to eat a certain way. If you're not, really at that point where it's important to you, you're just not going to do the work. So it's like, I don't want to work with somebody who just is going to dabble. It's not going to work out very well. They're going to be a pain in the ass. They're not going to do the work, and then they're going to complain later. It's like, you have to be at such a point where you're like, all right, enough. I tell people, this is my new favorite analogy. I tell people, like, dude, imagine you look like, Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie, and your energy is through the roof, and you could do it eating potato chips and Chinese food and ice cream all day and be in perfect health. Would you eat any different? I wouldn't. I mean, it's only like if the doctor says, hey, you better change your diet or you might not be here in a year. Yeah, then you'll change. But what's the incentive? What's the why if you can look freaking amazing and be in great health eating complete garbage? There's no point. So it's like here, it's like if someone hasn't reached the bottom, they're not going to do what's required. And like, when I told him, I'm like, Aubriel, like, this is a real deal thing here. You're going to work with me every day, 30 minutes a day. Do you really want this? Are you fully committed? And I said, even furthermore, how about this one? Even when you get the process, and by the way, I'm going to remind you this here, Aubriel, you know this, and we talked about this the other day, you can't stop now. You have to maintain and continue to grow that emotional muscle, just like your regular muscles. This is a commitment for life. No one unless someone's hit that bottom, or what I like to call relative bottom, they're just not going to do it. It's like, wow, lifetime commitment, that's a lot of work. Like, I'll say to some people like, well, I don't know if I can do it in the morning. I'm like, dude, goodbye. If I start hearing that kind of stuff, it's like, you have to want this so badly, you're willing to do it. Like, it's literally do or die for you. And what's awesome though is I tell people, like, well, the good news is this: it's fun. Once you start doing it, you get into it. It's really enjoyable. You're creating your own natural high without having to do a line of Coke in the parking lot. That's kind of cool. So it's like, you feel great. You did it yourself without coffee or any kind of food you ate. You did it with your own body. It's like, dude, this is awesome. Why would I not continue to do this? So once you get it going, it's fun to continue. You're literally every day, Aubriel, you're literally recreating your character. You're saying, here's how I want to show up today. I'm literally going to create it on the drawing board, and that's how I'm going to present myself. That's awesome. Yep. But so long term, that's why people maintain it. From the beginning, it's like, you have to really want it. Otherwise, you're just not going to show up. So the reason I do that is, it's like, I have to make sure that person wants it bad enough that they're going to do the work. Because especially the first 2 weeks, for most people, you were different again. Some people are in a lot worse spot than you. But for those people, it's like, dude, the first 2 weeks, you'll see some glimpses, but it's like a rocket ship. The hardest part is the takeoff. So you got to be patient a little bit here. I never told you it's a magic trick, but awesome. That's great. Yeah. Everyone gets stuck. Everyone has challenges. It's simply a matter of, do you really love yourself enough to give yourself a tool to break free those challenges and not let it go for months or years? Are you tired of learning from YouTube? Would you like to have someone who actually knows how to get you to that point you want to get to very quickly in a clear, defined amount of time? Because you're going to have those challenges. And for that person, let's rock and roll. Simple.
Yep. I think, I heard this question the other day, and they said, like, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Right.
And I feel like what your program does is it gives someone the tools to actually legitimately be able to ask themselves that question. Because I'm at the point now where I feel like no matter what I do, I can't fail. And having that mindset now is, it makes all the difference for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. It's like what I told you, like, you have the tool, like, you got it. Yeah. The only variable is you. As long as you pull back those reins, use the tool like it's given to you, and you were relentless with it, and you've proven to yourself in 6 weeks. I mean, think of it this way: the hardest part's behind you. Look what you dealt with the last 6 weeks. I mean, it's changing your life. You know,
Yep.
like, I mean, like, if you can handle that, you can handle anything.
Yep.
So you've already proven that the only variable is you. So
Yep.
it's like, all right, you know, for the rest of your life, you're good.
Yep.
The only variable is you. Just do the discipline, and you can get past anything.
I only have gratitude at this point for my ex-husband. And this program also really kind of helped solidify that for me. I was already at a place where I was just trying to approach the whole thing with love and acceptance, just because I knew that at the end of the day, it was how I felt best,
Mhm.
you know? And, for him, it's like I've gone through this program, and there's almost a part of me that wants to tell him, like, I would love for you to do this too. Cause
Yeah.
like, there's just like the tools you get from this for like the rest of your life are just an amazing gift, you know?
Yep.
And again, not about like the getting back together bit, but just the tools that you gain are just, they're amazing. And it really is transformative, and it's super helpful. And yeah, I mean, I highly recommend it to anybody who I think is ready to commit to something like this.